But when you become Mami Wata, it's because you're dead. Basically, the goddess is like, oh, you die, resuscitation. Who lives in a cool ass castle. Oh, why is the ass there? She lives in a cool castle with little fishies. Hello friends, and welcome to the start of a new video. My name is Jess. I love books. I will be talking about books, and this video is going to be about the books I read in December. In December, I did not read that many books. I went on vacation 1 week. That's where I read the most book, and then after that, I did not see the time go. So that's what happened. But I still managed to read 5 books. I think 5 for me is a good medium. That's almost always what it is, actually, if I'm being truthful. First 3 is books I read on vacation in Cuba. I made a little vloggy vlog about that. I'm on the beach, I read, good times. Little segment about music where I explore town, destination, whatever. You can watch this video on my channel if you want to. I think I'll try to link it somewhere. And yeah, I had a good time. I read 3 books. The theme was mermaid. The first book was not a mermaid book because I was finishing a book on my Kindle while on the plane, and that was Independent Study by Joëlle Charbonneau. I believe she's French, maybe. And that was book 2 in a series. The series was called The Testing. Book 1, it's like a really old 2010 style dystopian vibe, Hunger Game almost. Not a copy-paste, but close to it. Weren't all books in those times kind of close to Hunger Games and Divergent? But anyway, The Testing was really good. We're following, I absolutely forgot the name. She has a weird name. Like, I think her name is Sia, but like her real name is like something long. Anyway, Sia is an absolute genius according to everyone. Actually, according to herself, she's an absolute genius, okay? I just want to trash her so bad because in book 2 was bad. Book 2 I gave 2 stars. Book 1 was pretty good, following Sia, Hunger Games. She survives, obviously, but I don't want to say too much. But there's this big fight, tension, survival style thing, edge of your seat. I destroyed book 1. I thought it was really good. But then book 2, second book in a series, can't say too much, but in book 2, Sia, as the absolute genius that she says she is, discovers something about the society, and she's not quite sure she wants to be part of it anymore, and that's just kind of her deciding that for herself. Can't say much more than that. It is the second book in the series, but I gave that book 2 stars. I think I'll read book 3 just to say I finished the series. I mean, at this point I made it that far, and it's not that bad. Maybe book 3 will surprise me. Yeah, so that was the first book I read in December, and boy was that okay. Ish. And then after that, in Cuba, Mermaid Theme, I decided to pick Skin of the Sea, which is book 1 in a trilogy. That's written by, who wrote that? Natasha Bowen. Natasha Bowen wrote a book, Skin of the Sea, book 1, in a duology. And it's about a mermaid. They call themselves Mami Watas, and they live in Africa, and it's a bit historical fantasy style because it's happening, and I did not expect that, and it took me by surprise reading down on a relaxed beach. I did not expect, but it's going kind of deep into themes of slavery happening in Africa, and Mami Wata, I'm not just saying it right, but they are basically mermaid who takes the soul of the slaves who falls in the water from the slave ship, and when they're dead, the point is to just absorb their soul into a little necklace and help them pass on to the afterlife with the help of the goddess Yemoja, who makes Mami Watas especially for that purpose. So the main character, her name is, she has a cool name, I don't remember. Simi Dele. I hope I said that right. Simi Dele, also known as Simi, apparently. She is pretty cool. She became Mami Wata at a young age. She was turned by the goddess, and we kind of see a little glimpse of her life, her past life. And she is a strong person that pretty much has strong belief in what is right, what is wrong, and whatever the goddess says to her, she knows what's good in there, and I can appreciate that because she thinks on her own, but she also wants to atone when she feels like it's gonna have repercussion on others. Like, she's a very likable character, and we're following her after she this is on the back of the book, she saves a boy that falls into the sea. She wants to take his soul, but then he happens to not be dead yet, so she decides to save him, and that could potentially cause problem with, and the goddess might seek a retribution Mamiwatas, because they reveal themselves to human. And Simi Dele goes on this journey with that boy to not only maybe stop the slave ship, but also to ask forgiveness for letting humans know about her status as a mermaid. I thought it was really interesting. I think I rated only 3 stars because it was not the vacation read I was expecting. I wanted something a little bit more light. And it was heavy. I mean, there's a point I was on the beach, I was wondering if I was gonna cry. When she talks about her mother, or like her father, like her life as a child, and you know she died because, I mean, that's the beginning as well. But when you become Mamiwata, it's because you're dead. Basically, the goddess is like, oh, you die, you could serve me. Resuscitation. You're not a mermaid. And then after that, I picked up Deep Blue, another mermaid book by Jennifer Donnelly. I've heard a lot about this book because this author writes a lot of retellings like Beauty and the Beast. I think she does Cinderella as well. And that series, Deep Blue about mermaid, apparently reminds you a little bit of The Little Mermaid, and it really, really, really did. It was nothing amazing. I still gave it 3 stars, which surprises even me, but I don't know, it just was exactly what I needed. I really felt like we're following Ariel, like the Little Mermaid. She's the main character. Why do I keep forgetting names of main characters? What's her name? Like, she has a cool name too. Serafina. So Serafina is a princess mermaid who lives in a cool ass castle. Oh, why is the ass there? She lives in a cool castle with little fishies, and she has a pet crab or something. It's not a crab, he's a squid. I'm not sure what's the English word, but he's some kind of water creature. And I think it's the thing that does like the ink. Like when he's mad, he's just like soup. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And she is destined to take over the throne of her mother. She is the only child. She's the magical princess of the land, and she has a beautiful voice, and with her voice she can do magic. And she obviously has a best friend, a boy interest. It's very cliche in that way, and it's like a mix of contemporary and fantasy, because some of the mermaids, like, they go shoaling. It's kind of like a thing like cool teenager mermaid do. They just like to swim at the surface. It's very dangerous to get caught by humans. So there's these cool little teams there, and then the mermaids that go shoaling, like they do like alcohol or drugs, like the equivalent for the mermaid people. So it was really weird, but very refreshing and light, and exactly what I needed while on vacation. So I gave it 3 stars. It's a pretty long series, and there's a little curse on the mermaid people that Serafina wants to live. So that's it for that book. And afterward, I read book 3. This is definitely the year I'm like, let's finish series. So book 3 of Mara Dyer, The Retribution of Mara Dyer. That series I started, I think, 2 years ago, and I think it's not spoken about enough. It's written by Michelle Utkin. Yeah, Michelle Utkin. And that series, I think, was really popular back in the day. And the first book, wow, it really feels like you're following Mara Dyer, who seems to be a pretty messed up victim. I say messed up because the events that happened in the book messed her up, but she's PTSD, intense PTSD, where like she was part of an accident and she keeps on seeing the event happen. Like, she imagined things that are not there, and it makes her freak out, and she has memory loss as well, tied to whatever that event is. I can't say too much, but what we learned at the beginning is that she was part of an accident with some of her school friends from her previous school. Some people died. She's not sure what happened. Her parents, to help her out, decide to transfer her to a new school, hoping that the change of local will help her just feel better, but she cannot let go of that event. And there's other like fantasy, mythical, weird things that happens to her. Like, there's a voodoo doll. She has flashback of like another person that seems to be her but is not her. She can potentially do things with her mind, and there is a stalker kind of following her, and there's a love interest. So there's a lot happening. It's really, really interesting. I really, really like that series. Book 3 was really good. I'd say book 3 was almost better than book 1. And for a series, that's good. Book 2 was okay, as second books in series sometimes are. But book 3 was really, really good. If you're going for the romance, maybe book 3 will not be your favorite one because there's a little glimpse only. But this series is so much about Mara for learning about her powers, potential, and some kind of conspiracy tied to that. And book 3 is following a character we met in book 1 that I really, really like. It's extremely funny. I think it's like her best friend thing. And they just go together, like traveling, trying to unravel this conspiracy for good because it's book 3. And it's a really good time. It's really funny. And Mara is a really fun character to read from. She is violent the best of ways. Like, she will save her friend, feel no remorse, almost, sometimes she does, but it's just, I don't know, it's just like the comic relief of her friend, her being so dark, it just makes for a really fun read. So I gave that 5 stars. And then for the last book I read in December, it's A Guild by Raven Kennedy, book 1 in the Plated Prisoners series, and I was so surprised. I expected that book to be violent, dark, degrading, and it is degrading, very degrading, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, and the world building really picks up halfway through, so I was really into it. Basically, this is a real telling of King Midas' tale. Midas is a king, he touches things, they turn to gold. He touched Oren. She is gilded, like yellow paint on her body, sort of. And she is like his pet. He keeps her in a cage, which seems to be an ensemble of rooms tied to one another with bars where people see her walk, but they cannot go in there. And he does treat her like an object, I must admit. And there's some scene, maybe 1 or 2 in the book, that made me a little bit uneasy. But it's not as dark as I thought it was gonna be. And there's a lot of the book that is more so setting foundation for other books, a little bit more world building in the middle. And I mean, although women are not treated really well at all, it feels like in the second book, I've already started it, and you see it a little bit in the part of book 1 that there are good people in this world, and it's just so happened that she had a bad time, but now it's getting better, and it's not just gonna be about woman abuse. So at least there's that, and I was really pulled in. The way it was written, I liked Oren as a character. Midas was in a violent, physical, abusive person, so I thought it was okay. Well, not okay, because he's violent in with his words, but still, it wasn't as bad and as I thought with the abuse, and I really liked the world, I really liked Oren, so I really wanted to read book 2, and for that reason only, when I go right into the second book of a series, I must give this book 5 stars, so I did. So that's it for the book I read in December. It's not as many as I've hoped, but I'm still pretty happy because that's what you gotta be happy, because reading is amazing and I had a good time because I was reading. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye bye.